On three, two, one. Hello, my friendly acquaintances. My name is George Bruno. Welcome to Fire Your Boss. You can find us at fireyourboss.win. I am with my two co-hosts. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
I am Jonesy, the entrepreneur, co-founder of Conversion Chemistry, and I'm anti-boss.
Nice.
Well, I'm Frank Aaron, co-partner and etc. of Conversion Chemistry, and I haven't had a boss for 28 years, 4 months, and 14 days as of this video.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, today's topic, gentlemen, is we're focusing on employers and creating a positive employment culture and employee retention. Those are the two topics that we're going to be talking about. I will start. When my last real job, I was clinical director of a psychiatric clinic. And I started a thing called SCI meetings. SCI stood for Sharing Concerns and Ideas. And it was basically, I would meet with all the employees literally once a quarter, and they would talk about their wins, their losses, they would share concerns, they would share ideas, and then I would write down what their goals were. So the next quarter that I met with them, I would ask them about some of the things that they shared last quarter, and then also show interest in them as human beings, as people, and say, okay, how far have you moved on your goals as well? So kind of show them that I cared about them, not just about what got done at work, but how's your mom doing? How's your kids' baseball team doing? You know, like that kind of stuff. How's that little woodworking shop that you built in your garage? How's that going? You know, things like that. And people really felt cared for. It got to the point after doing that for 2 years, the CEO of the company used to buy personalized gifts, and that was pretty cool for all of the management and the directors. And it wasn't like he just bought like 20 scarves or 20 sets of winter gloves or something like that. He literally picked things out, and I'll never forget. He bought me a fleece coat and a Christmas card, and his personal note in the Christmas card was, thank you for making our company a great place to work, because it filtered up to him what I was doing with the people that were under me, under my supervision, helping to make it a great place to work. And it was when that got recognized by the CEO, I was like, all right, I'm doing the right thing. That was pretty cool. And it was creating a positive employment culture, which is, one of the topics of today. And it just kind of bled into employee retention. It reminds me of John Paul DeJoria, who's one of my business idols, who founded Paul Mitchell Systems, and he created Patron Tequila. I forget. He sold that for millions. I mean, this guy, everything he touches turns to gold. But I'll never forget that at Paul Mitchell Systems, they don't have job openings because nobody quits and no one gets fired. People hang on to their jobs. It's like the most positive work environment. And he taught me over 20 years ago, he said, praise publicly, but reprimand privately. Never put anyone down in public. And I will never forget that as long as I live. He's a great example, man. I got to go back and review some of my notes from him. What a great example of positive employment culture. Jonesy, what are some examples that you are aware of positive employment culture?
I do. I love that you touched on a lot of these concepts that I was thinking of about open communication, culture of inclusion, and being valued as being worth a lot for the psychological aspect of working, and not just a paycheck, which is great. So, the last job I had was still working for a small business a few years ago, because about 15 years ago, I swore off big corporations to work for, specifically for the reasons you talked about. You're talking about, getting to know, I'll take it in the context of being like a middle manager, right? So a middle manager is closer to the front line than they are to the CEO in most cases. So they're really putting more pressure on that individual than even the frontline employees. So as middle manager, you're expected to act like you are a company owner, stakeholder, shareholder. You're expected to get to know your employees, your staff, your reports, break bread with them, know about their families. And then when some bean counters line item makes sense, you're the one who has to fire them.
Yeah.
So that's just, that became insane to me, and I'm not doing it. So then, through a series of career transitions, I became a top manager at my last job, where I had a team that reported to me, and that was like my entire shtick was, I will take all the blame, you will take all the credit. It's like what any good teammate does on a hockey team. We one of the shows I watched, Letterkenny and Shoresy, they always, they got some scumbags that are that are characters on that show, but they're hockey players, and that's like one constant is whenever, like, everybody always takes the blame on a hockey team, including myself. You take the blame for having wanted to do better. Oh, it was all my fault. I could have done better. The team was great, and then when you win, it's all about the team. Oh, the team did this, the team did that, and that's what a good leader should be doing. The word boss, I detest it. I detest it.
Yeah.
The word boss, it comes from the Dutch word bos, which means master. All right. So you can put two and two together. All right. I don't,
Wow.
I don't want to ruffle too many feathers here, but there's a reason that slaves called their masters boss. And then that
Yeah.
carried over to, prison guards, correctional officers being called boss. You see it in the freaking Shawshank Redemption, and
Yeah.
you don't you don't have to dig deep to figure this part out. So do I ever want to be called that? Hell no. Call me by my name, or if you have to refer to me as the manager, if you have to an
Yeah.
external. Oh my God. I would even joke about one of my team members, one of my reports at the last job, even jokingly saying, all right, you got it, boss. I'm like, I swear to God. I'm like, if I'm going to reprimand you for anything, it's going to be for that. Do not call me
Yeah.
that, for God's sake.
Yeah. I remember years ago hearing people don't want to be managed, they want to be led.
Mhm.
Managed is like holding people back. I since I've been into motorcycles over the decades, and then I made the switch over to motor scooters. I mean, I went from large touring motorcycles to motor scooters that I absolutely love. I love scooters, but many motor scooters have a governor on them, and it's basically just it's an electronic. It's just a little. It's a circuit board that keeps you from going too fast.
Yeah.
That's it. And on some of the secret forums, people are talking about their favorite scooters, their favorite bikes, and they always talk about, like, well, in this particular model, if you open up the engine compartment on the upper left side, you'll see a little panel or a little box. Make sure you snip the green wire, not the blue wire. You know what I mean? And it'll disable the governor, like trying to keep, that type of, and when I think about, like, in politics, who runs our states? Governors.
Governors, yeah.
What the hell? A governor in the motor vehicle world keeps it from going too fast, keeps it from performing too well, keeps it from. It's a limiter, exactly. Yeah. I remember going into when I had a company that was making men's products, and we were making aftershave, and you have a bottle of aftershave, and you don't want to take the top off and pour it in your hand because it would all come out too much. So you put a limiter in the spout of the bottle. Like when you buy, the large bottles of liquor, they got that little plastic thing on the top. It's a limiter. Keeps it from emptying out all at once. It limits it. It's a governor. And
yeah,
so
I ripped
many
that thing
people,
out.
Yeah.
With his teeth.
Yeah. And some people just have like this self-governing limiter kind of thing going on, where they're just afraid to go far. They're afraid to put it into the high gear. They're afraid to let the spool of string go all the way out. Like I'm also into kite flying. It's like a weird little quirky hobby, and there's a lot of people who are very hesitant about letting out all the string. And I got a spool of string like you can't imagine. You should see the spool that I have. I can get a kite so high where you can't even see it, where you need binoculars. And people are like, "Well, aren't you afraid you're going to lose?" And I go, "I don't want to fly a kite just like where I can see it 50 feet above my head. I want to let that sucker go, And I don't want to limit it. We end up limiting ourselves so many times. And Frank, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I have strong opinions on this, and one of the things is, if you want to keep good employees and you want to foster a spirit, one is led, not managed. Two is make people feel respected. That boss on Friday afternoon when you punched out, some days he'd do his little power trip, make you wait in his office 5 or 10 minutes. You could see your paycheck on his desk, but he wasn't going to give it to you until he was good and ready, and you knew he was the boss. And then you go, here's your check. Have a good weekend. Like, you asshole. Now I'm going to be in traffic for another hour because of your little power trip. There's a whole industrial, the whole industrial warehouse area empties out at one time. It's a power trip. How about empowering me? How about valuing me? How about listening to my ideas and my opinions? I'm the one that dealt with the customer and everything else. I was a truck driver, but I was also customer service. If they had a new order, if there was something wrong with a product or something was wrong, I was the liaison. It wasn't just about driving the truck, but that never got recognized. Bosses make a mistake. They think they know it all. They dismiss their team's input. They don't value the people on the ground. And they wonder why they can't hold people, why they can't retain people. It's like, stunad,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. When I worked in retail, I'll never forget just thinking my manager was scheming to make my life miserable. And I'll never forget one time being in the back room. I worked at a mall and going in the back room, and he was talking to somebody on the phone, and it got a little heated. Then he slammed the phone, and I'm like, "Hey, man, everything okay?" And he goes, "That fucking district manager." And I'm like, "Oh." So it's interesting. And the district manager answers to the regional manager, who answers to the VP, who answers to the CEO. And like everybody hates their work. I discovered it's like your boss, as much of a pain in the ass as he might be, he hates his job just as much as you hate your job. So
I said that before. Yeah. Like my guy, he was scared.
absolutely.
He got it right out of high school. It was a really good paying job in a growing company. He had a lot to lose. And you never know what somebody's going through or been through either. You just don't know.
Absolutely.
Showing a little kindness and mercy along the way works both ways too. You make a good point there.
I like to say when you're at work, and I have some of my followers that know this literally verbatim. Chest out, shoulders back, stomach in, head held high, and walk 25% faster on the job. People will be suspicious of you at work because they're like, well, why is he walking so fast? Something must be happening. He looks like he has a sense of urgency. Like, what's going on here? And you end up being suspicious when you just literally just perform just a few percentage points faster or farther or stronger than the rest of the crowd. I noticed that. But when you are working for yourself, the only person you have to impress is yourself. So we're going from talking about a positive employment culture. How about a positive self-employment culture? You know, I I I have, like, on my part-time gig that I work, I have to be there. I work from 7 to 3. I know exactly the time that I have to leave, and I get there within 1 minute, and I still got to clock in. I get there with 1 minute to spare. If I leave 2 minutes too late, then I'm going to get, I will arrive late, and then someone will be on my case. A grown man, someone being on my case, like,
We're going
and
to
just
write you up, and it's going to go on your permanent record, whatever the hell.
yeah, and that just blows my mind that a grown ass man gets written up, especially a responsible guy for like being 1 minute late, that kind of thing. So, but if we are self-employed, do we have the discipline? If you have no one looking over your shoulder, what kind of corporate or self-employment culture do you need to have? Being self-employed doesn't mean sleeping late and slacking. It means possibly being more disciplined than if you have a employer. Jonesy, what do you think about that?
I think that's a non-negotiable. That's the phrase we talk about. You have to create a system for yourself, and I struggled with this a bit when I turned from freelancer to operating an agency, and that I found it very easy to perform well and hard for my clients, but on internal activities, I was slacking. Now, some of it was enjoying the freedom that came with self-employment, and a lot of it was give and take. Like, yeah, I do. Did I sleep in a few times? Now I'm an early riser anyway, but yeah. But what did that mean? That I'm gonna, make up the time later on at a different time. That's the flexibility I gave myself. But I was failing to work on my own projects, which was a limiting factor. So I don't really have a magic bullet for it, other than realizing that I was limiting the growth of myself from a personal development standpoint. Um, and that if I was treating myself like a client, kind of referring back to the way Frank uses the positive self-talk and affirmations. If somebody was saying that or doing that to me as a work product and not meeting deliverables, I'd be very disappointed. I would, there would have to be changes to be made. So I cut that off. And
Yeah.
I created certain tasks that are non-negotiables that have to be done.
I like that. I work harder for myself than I do for anyone else. And I think most people will find that to be true. When you have a task, you do it better and more competently on your own than, like, for instance, if I'm doing something for somebody, I'm doing the least amount of work as possible. I'm trying to be efficient and quote unquote get away with as much as I possibly can. When I'm working for myself, that doesn't even exist.
No, because you
And
wouldn't
I do
accept
I do
that
want to
from
put the
yourself.
disclaimer that it's, I want to separate that out, and that when I'm doing work for clients, that is still working for myself versus working on myself. And that's my, that's where I need to improve. But, I do agree is that I'm now working for clients outside the scope of employment. I am delivering. There is no, I have to impress the client. Yeah, are they still the boss? Kind, or the whatever, they're the boss. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But there's no manager overseeing that process. That is me. So, to rephrase it, it's like, instead of trying to please the client, the employer, your potential coworkers, and potential reports, now all you really have is yourself and the client, which takes a lot of pressure off. It makes you want to do a good
Well,
job.
so many of detractors, the self-employment detractors and the anti-evangelists of self-employment, they will say, like, you'll say something, I'm tired of working for somebody, I'm tired of having a boss. And then some smart ass will say, well, you realize your customers are your boss. I'm like, well, no shit. I mean, like, duh, really?
Yeah,
Of course. But there's no
yeah,
middleman. I am directly responsible for it.
yeah,
And it makes me want to perform better.
of course. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
that's the
because you're not
difference.
dealing with the people who are in place because they crave power and are only there because they crave power and are afraid of losing that power. Therefore, they create meaningless tasks, metrics, KPIs, and accountabilities that do not indicate good or bad performance whatsoever. They're just there. It's a false framework.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Frank, what are your thoughts on creating a positive self-employment culture? What role does discipline, self-imposed discipline, hard deadlines, and self-imposed accountability play in your work as an entrepreneur?
Well, I'm an early riser too. So I'm up at 5:30 and usually in the office by 7 or 7:30. Um, I can tell you that the freedom is both liberating and debilitating because I can do what I want. That's the good news. The bad news is I can do what I want. And
Mm,
sometimes I just want to sit on my ass and look out the window, quite frankly,
yeah.
and that comes with it. And Jonesy, you actually inspire me um, with the lifestyle choices that you make. Um, you've got your hard and fast, I'm doing this and then that's it. And I did this weekend, we went up to Massachusetts. My wife and I, we took the kids up to Massachusetts, and that was great. And for 4 days, I didn't. I said, let me see if I can do this after 28 years. Did not check voicemail one time. Did not check email one time. Wrong finger, Frank. Don't want to put that one up. did whatever this one is too. I'll do this one. There we go. I don't know, flip anybody to burn by accident on our show. That would be another blooper for the bloopies, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't check anything, and I came back, and guess what? The business was still here. Now I'm ready to do it again, you know. And we closed on a deal in Texas, real estate deal in Texas
Hey-o.
on Monday while I was driving
Nice.
back. So
Sweet.
yeah, I mean, you have to continually work on yourself though, because this business, like everything in life, guys, 90% psychology, 10% technique. Period. It's all in
Yeah.
your head and all in your heart.
Yeah. One thing I notice amongst the fire your boss gang and the fire your boss culture is that most people, not all, most do get up early. There's something about the early hours. Why? Like I get up at 4 a.m. every day, whether I want to or not. I wake up at about 5 minutes to 4. I'm like, screw it. I just get up and start the coffee. Jonesy, why do you get up early?
I don't get up as early as I used to, especially now that I play an insane amount of hockey, which a lot of that occurs at night. So I used to be a wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. type of guy and would hit the gym, get the workout out of the way early, because all the health benefits with that, right? I'm not here to say you should work out in the morning instead of night. I know plenty of people that work out at night and are in way better shape and condition than I am. So keep doing that, friends. Looking at you, Jason Snyder, hockey guy. It became habit, right? What was a purposeful series of steps just turned into second nature and habit, because I said, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. And we talked about that in the previous episode. Not, I wish I could get up early, but I will get up early. I think there's a correlation there, but I don't think it's complete causation, because I know plenty of successful people who are either night owls or whatever works for them, but it is typically consistent and routine. So that was my thing is, I lost a bunch of weight a bunch of years ago because I would get up, eat a shake, go to the gym, and go about the rest of my day. So positive, good habits. With being self-employed and running businesses now, I give myself the freedom to enjoy the mornings a little bit more. Again, because I play a lot of hockey at night. I'm talking like night, like way after George's bedtime, nighttime. I know this for sure.
Yes.
So it created a shift. I'll sleep till 6, 7 o'clock, and then be kind of lazy in the morning. Read the feeds, watch the news, hang out with the dogs in the morning. But then having a hard start at 8 a.m. Still a hard start to the day, which usually is just reviewing any to-dos from my team or any concerns or requests from the team you were talking about, concerns, anything I can help them with, that's priority. And then, time blocking depending on the day. Monday is typically agency work with clients. Tuesday is conversion chemistry, fire your boss. Wednesday is usually a client meeting, hockey. Thursday is agency work, and Friday is conversion chemistry and fire your boss. So create time blocking and structuring, which I was very good at when I was employed. Got away from it when I was self-employed because I enjoyed the freedom.
Yeah.
I allowed that of myself, but then realized that in order to scale and grow, I had to put structure back in.
Yeah. Frank, you did say that you get up a little bit earlier, and I guess I agree with Jonesy. Not everybody is an early bird. Some people are night owls. Some people,
right,
get more work done. The way that is there a method to your madness as far as how you structure your day, whether it's getting up early or not or whatever? Tell us.
Well, I get up, like I say, 5 now. It just started. I always got up at 6. And I get up at 5:30 now. You used to always get up at 6:30. I don't know. Now that I'm getting older and turning 60, seems like old people get up earlier. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, I mean, I get up, I start my day. I don't work out anywhere near as I should and need to. But we're going to fix that come December, because I'm not going into my 60s anything less than healthy.
Frank, we are going to do that in December.
Oh, we are, yeah.
It will happen.
It will happen. That's right.
Okay.
Yes, wrong words. Yes.
Continue, please.
So, thank you for that correction. But eat breakfast, get the kids on the school bus, and then I'm in the office, man. I get a little work done after breakfast and before they have to get on the bus, and then I'll come back in, walk the dog real quick, and then I'm here. I stop at lunch. I'll take a 5 or 10 minute morning break, and I work till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it. I don't do nights anymore, man. When I was building this business, I worked 6 and 7 days a week, and congratulations, I burnt myself out.
Yeah.
That was 1996. I was younger then. I don't want to do that anymore, and I probably couldn't anymore, even if I wanted to. So I have no interest in that, and it's just you keep a schedule. I'll tell you the best thing I've done lately is just turn the volume off, turn the ringer off on the phone, man. iPhone, top left button. I turn it off, fades down, because if I'm making calls or doing something, that's what I'm doing. The worst thing you can do if you're self-employed is jump from task to task to task to task. It's the worst thing. You'll get more done in 1 hour of focus than in 5 hours of just riffing and framping all over the place. Guaranteed.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I'm not one to throw out the phrase ADHD or anything like that, but I have, I'm not even going to say it's pathological because a lot of people say, well, I can't help it. It's how my brain works. It's like, shut the fuck up. Seriously. I wasn't disciplined, and I'm going to say it. So what I needed to do was I purchased a analog kitchen timer, literally a timer, just like where you turn it, and then it dings after so many minutes, whatever. And I would start a project, a task, and put the timer on 20 minutes because I had about a 20-minute attention span. And there's nothing pathological. I take full responsibility because I wasn't disciplined. I'm not going to say, well, it's the way I was raised. It's how I'm hardwired. It's like, believe me, I'm from the psychological field. I know all the bullshit before it even comes out of before it comes out of people's mouths. I would set the timer for 20 minutes and focus on one task. And I got more done in 20 minutes. It was freaking amazing. And that was the result of, I would shave. Back when I was shaving, I'd shave half my face. The phone would ring. I'd answer the phone. When I get done with that phone call, then I'd go and iron half a shirt and then forget that I need to shave the other half of my face and that I need to go check the mail and then let the dog out to pee. And then and it was just like, I was just a fragmented mess until I learned how to focus. And it was, I've heard so many things over the years, like the 8x10 method, 8 phone calls by 10 a.m. You heard that before. Just like whatever quirky little thing you have to do to be disciplined and create your own positive employment culture, positive self-employment culture. And employee retention isn't just for working a job. Like if you're self-employed, you want to retain yourself. Like you don't want to quit,
right?
You don't want to give up. Like you are the most important. When you are a one-man shop, you are the most important employee. So employee retention is super important. I like the idea, Frank, I like the idea that you get out of the house and come to a mastermind group. I love that because when you're working on your own, there is the temptation to feel isolated, that it's you and me against the world. And, I'm in this by myself. And the fact that you come out to a mastermind, your personal board of directors is a great thing. Same thing with Jonesy. And, that's how the audience, I think you all already know this, that we met at a mastermind group. And my life has improved. I mean, literally, when I look at where I was, and I know exactly where I was because I can look at my calendar and tell you exactly where I was prior to attending my first mastermind group. I'm miles ahead of where I was. Miles ahead. It's in small little increments over a long period of time, but now it's miles. All right, I'll give you guys the last word on this topic. Go ahead, Jonesy.
I'm going to say, everything we just talked about for creating that culture of growth and empowerment should be applied not only to yourself and self-employment, but it's something that leaders and managers, we have to use the word manager because it is a title and there is some merit to controls and accountability being put in place, but use these examples. All right. You want to create that culture, and we want every business to embody that. We don't want greed. We don't want everything flowing upwards. That's, that's late stage capitalism. That's not how we're going to thrive and survive. So yeah, these really can be applied at any level, and I will stand behind that.
Excellent.
Baba Booey. I don't know.
Yeah. Frank Aaron, what do you think? Final word.
Well, I think that respect and an open mind go a long way on both sides of the street, management and employee, and it gets to the point. I love my job. I love my nice clean truck. I love my customers. My boss is no respect for or from. I had to make my choice and I did it. And the other thing I would say is once you do become an entrepreneur working from home, the good, like I say, good news is you have 24 hours in a day. Bad news is you have 24 hours in a day. You fill it with whatever you want. And there's that. It's like so weird. It's I forget the word is, but it's so weird that freedom can be so limiting, if that makes any sense, because you're free to do anything. You have to have the discipline to do something, the most important thing. I have taped on right on my tower here. Just do the next right thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here going, what the hell do I do now? What I got this. What's the next right thing? What's the thing that's going to make me money? What's the day that's going to service? What's the thing that's going to service my customers? What needs to be done now? Because there's always, I got lists and posted pans and everything. There's always some new thing that has to be done, but what needs to be done?
Yeah.
I think I would tell somebody, really think about that. What do you need to do? And are you always taking action? Sure, there's a time for research and evaluation, but I tell you what, man, that whole ready, fire, aim stuff actually works, and it works very well.
Yeah, and I guess my last words are, if you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you start, you'll probably never start.
Never going to happen.
Likely. Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you to my co-hosts and thank you to the audience at Fire Your Boss. And you can go to fireyourboss.win, use the promo code Bruno and get a sweet discount. And you have a lot of data there, a lot of case studies, and a lot of tools for you to succeed in your own business and get to the point where you can fire your boss.